You're listening to the Everyday Legends podcast, the show that is dedicated to helping everyday men build legendary relationships with yourself, your partner, and your world. I'm your host, Mike Campbell, and the aim of this podcast is simple: to help you navigate life with more clarity, more confidence, and purpose-driven action, with plenty of stories, a load of lessons, and some loving straight talk. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Everyday Legends podcast. I am your host, Mike Campbell, and today I've got a punchy solo episode for you where I want to explore the idea of success. And really, I want to start with this question, and then we'll explore it and dig into it and talk about it and maybe circle back to it. And that is this: what is success to you? You know, this is a question that is, I believe, central to so much of our lives and what we do with our time here on Earth. I feel like we've been handed down an idea of success. And that can be, generalized a lot in certain parts of the world, certain cultures. It can be heavily different from one house to the next, one household, one family to the next. But I also know in all of my work with men that certainly in by and large in the Western world, we've inherited, let's call it, an idea of what it is to be a successful man. Your measures of success, if you will. And I think early on, as a male, we learn ideas about what it is to be a man. And, in a general sense, we learn things about, through messaging and conditioning, that's how we get any kind of belief ourselves. This means that, conditioning and messages that we hear, that we witness, because they come in many forms, messages and conditioning. And we take on board the idea of different things. So when it comes to success, when you are a young boy and you hear things such as, boys don't cry, harden up, toughen up, figure it out yourself, get your shit together, drink a cup of concrete, don't be a girl, don't be a pussy, don't be a fag. What we are generally hearing there, and the behaviors centered around it, are anything that shows that you are not capable of everything, that you have any kind of emotion or anything that is resembling quote unquote feminine characteristics, is not manly. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm not saying that is the case, because nuance speaks to, we do need to be able to be capable and figure shit out. But everything, that doesn't work for an adult, let alone a fucking boy who doesn't have the maturity and the intellect to understand those kinds of messages that adults are passing on through their own insecurities and fear of not being man enough. And so when you get that, there is this general idea that to be a man is to be tough and strong, and to be able to figure out and handle everything, to be able to fix everything for everyone else, take everyone else's pain away, and be, essentially Superman. So that's a pretty high bar to set. Then when we become adolescents, we start to experience and witness these other ideas of what success is as a man. And that comes down to your ability to provide, to protect, and procreate. To provide, protect, and procreate. So your ability to provide speaks to your measures of one huge area as a measure of success as a man. So what does that look like? Well, many things, but quite simply, it comes down to your job, your income, the amount of wealth that you can accumulate to quote unquote provide for your family. And whilst that is a very important thing, this message is not about, hey, you need to do nothing and earn no money and not build a future for yourself or your family. It's the same black or white thinking that sees us pour all of our energy into earning as much wealth as we can. And with that, the job, the status, the things that I can collect, the material possessions, all of those things, therefore, will show that I am a success, that I am good at being a man. And if you think about that very briefly, maybe it might take you longer, you can start to see that they are all externally based things. So hold on to that thought. Then we come to your ability to protect others. That's the being strong, to being able to take other people's pain away, help others, fix others, solve things for others. Your actual ability to fight. How strong you are. And depending on where you live, if you take this to the United States of America, that becomes this whole other beast. By the way, Americans, if you're not aware of this, protect and serve, and the right to bear arms, and actually, you got to protect your family from some fucking boogeyman apparently who's coming. Protection, your ability to protect, how strong you are, what you can do with your muscles. And again, most of that is centered around how much you therefore are seen as that protector. Externally based feedback and sources. And then the other thing is to procreate. Your ability to get laid, your sexual prowess, your dick, the size of it, what you can do with it, how good you are at picking up women or people that you want to have sex with, how good you are at the act of. Now, reflect on those for a moment and see where they sit for you, how accurate they feel, how you have been executing on those, and you'll potentially find very different ways in which they have played out for you, to the procreation thing. I mean, that was basically me through my late teens and early 20s. It was the focus, right? Not only did I want that, right, because I wanted my understanding of sex and sexuality and sensuality was essentially like you just get laid and get your end away. But there was also the feeling that I got from someone wanting me, right? That external validation of, I'm wanted. And also the kudos I got from my friends for my sexual prowess. Now, what we do, generally speaking, is we take those things from our adolescence and we feed them. And we might focus on all of them. We might focus on one of them. And then we absolutely dive headfirst into that. And the challenge with that is we become so myopic and so narrow focused that we miss so much of life. Here's a really simple example of men who pour their entire being almost into providing and being the provider. They miss out on what they're actually providing for. What is all the work? What is all the effort actually for? If you are providing for your family, what are you wanting to provide them with? Security. Well, let's expand upon that. Is it financial security? Is it safety, knowing that you are present? Is it providing for your children a sense that they are safe beyond financial security, that they are seen, that they are valued, that they are appreciated, that they are loved? Because you also provide those things for your children, brother, and your partner, and yourself, by the way, that little boy in you who might have needed that because of the upbringing he went through. That's potentially a subject for another day. So we get to look at the term provide and provider and actually strip it down and put it under the microscope and really poke and prod it. What is being a provider? Because I would say to you that being a provider is so much more than simply building a future, working, getting better at your job, climbing the ladder and whatever it may be, even building your business and bringing home the bacon. How much is enough for financial security? And then how much is enough to create the future that you want to create for your family? And then what else do I provide? Because I know in my household that I do provide financial security, given that we have a reasonably new baby. And the conversation between my wife and I when she was pregnant was that I was going to be the primary provider, not the sole provider, in terms of our bills and our survival, essentially. Food on the table, roof over our head, etc. But what else do I provide? I provide emotional safety, emotional security. I provide presence. I provide in many and varied ways. It is a conversation for me to have, but also in my relationship, if you're in a relationship, to have with your partner. And protection is the same thing. We get to explore that, because if you are putting your success as a man in part on your ability to protect others and be strong and provide for them, be clear here. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying you get to explore what that is. Because if you're all about kicking ass and taking names and being tough because you got your fucking gun on your hip and you can beat people up, then you know what? Safety isn't just about that. Again, protecting people, keeping them safe is also about emotional safety. And here's a challenge to you, brother. If you can't sit and be with yourself, just sit with you, be with yourself and your thoughts for 20 minutes a day without squirming and running and feeling wildly uncomfortable and rationalizing your way out of it with this is boredom and it's bullshit. If you can't sit with an emotion and process a feeling, you are not safe. And that will radiate into every relationship that you have. Your partner needs to feel emotionally safe with you. That is protecting them as well. But if your protection is focused purely on keeping bad people away from the door, one, what kind of a world are you living in? Two, please invite yourself, give yourself permission to explore what else protection is and how safety is something that is a subject you get to expand upon. Because your emotional safety will drastically impact how safe your partner can feel in your presence, how much they will allow themselves to be protected by you, be looked after by you. And then procreation, hey, guess what we've often learned as men? That the sex side of being a human is purely that, physical release, orgasm, and that's it. But men know, we know, you know that it is so much more than that. If you have spent a large amount of your life chasing tail, getting laid, there's something missing. And if you're not there yet, cool. Have your fun and check back with me. No judgment. But I would put to you that what most men want when it comes to that side of being a human is the physical aspect of intimacy and sex and the emotional connection that comes with it. One of the things that we get to ask ourselves what does sex provide for me? And in there, I suggest there will be answers like connection, love, belonging, emotional intimacy, and other things, many other things, not just in that field. Those are the things you get to explore. Because here's the other somewhat challenging and often confusing point to your success has been put down to your ability to provide, protect, and procreate. Those are deeply ingrained, evolutionarily ingrained aspects of being a man. And to go beyond that, of the masculine. So when we look at human history and human evolution, agriculture started 10 to 12,000 or so years ago. Prior to that, we were hunter-gatherers for a few 100,000 years. Prior to that, a few million years, our earlier ancestors, through evolution, were in that mold of scavengers, hunter-gatherers. The hunter, the masculine, the roles that we evolved, right? And I am genderizing. This is not exclusively men and women, but the masculine in a human has those modes of provide, be out. The hunter is providing by going out and bringing home large amounts of food. The feminine the forager, the gatherer, is also bringing home food, of course, on a different level. If you think about the difference between wandering a meadow and knowing the dangers that are in and around little bushes and what you can and can't eat and berries, is different to going out and hunting big game. It could be life or death. Providing huge chunks of nutrient sustenance for you, your family, your community. And then protecting, same thing, keeping them safe from harm, from other beasts and animals that could hunt you, from disease and cold and the elements and so on. And then procreation, very simple, the survival of the species. So here's something that I want to put to you. Those things are so deeply ingrained in us that it is no surprise that we apply ourselves to them with such fervor, such intensity, such natural intensity. But there's a difference between the animal that is in us and letting that run and the conditioned humans that we have become. What we get to do is we get to understand, oh, part of me is driven from a very simple evolutionary level with a need to provide, protect, and procreate. And now what's happened is I have learnt through social conditioning and culture and different kinds of social contracts that how I'm supposed to do those is through provide, protect, and procreate, earn more money, status, financial security, more, protect, be strong, fight, etc., and get laid. So if I understand that they are drivers for me, they're needs I need to meet, but I don't have to meet them in the way that I have been taught and conditioned to do. And so I get to come back to the point of I get to explore what is being a provider for me. How do I want to apply myself to being a provider for myself and those people in my life? How do I need to protect? What does that look like for me? And procreation, what is sexual closeness about to me, physically, emotionally, intimacy? And in that, we start to internalize what success is to you as an individual, because that is the point in this. What success is to you is quite likely determined by everything that you witnessed and heard growing up in your family unit, in your community, in broader society, in the culture, in media, TV, movies, etc. My invitation to you today is to do your best to forget about all of that and ask yourself, what do I want success to be for me? And in that, you get to incorporate things such as your needs. What are your greatest needs? Well, we've just discussed that on some level, there is the need to provide, protect, and procreate as a man, as the masculine, as the hunter in you. If you are a man who is more predominantly masculine / hunter by nature, you also have the feminine in you. Most definitely. We need to be able to access that. What are your needs? Connection, growth, certainty, security, contribution. How do you meet your needs? How do you want to meet your needs? What would success look like for you? Broadly speaking, in terms of your needs, and then, of course, to meet those biological, instinctual animal needs of provide, protect, and procreate. But of course, because the feminine is in you as well, we'll touch on that point, that is also going to speak to needs of nurture, playfulness, feeling, emotive, communication. Those are in you too. And then into your equation of what is success to you. Who do you want to be? How do you want to be? Why do you want to be that? Answer those questions. How do you want to feel? What do you want to experience? What do you want to do? And then what do all of those things require of you? And who gets to be a part of that equation? Those are questions that I invite you to reflect on, brainstorm, get a journal, Get a writing device and write like crazy. Do your best to forget everything that you've learnt about what success needs to be and answer the question as a clean slate. What do I want it to be for me? And of course, whomever is in your world, if you have a family, that'll be part of it. If part of it is, well, I want to have a quote unquote successful business, what the fuck is a successful business? I want to have a successful career. What the fuck is a successful career? Not based on what everyone else is doing, but what you want it to be and do. That's the point. Success has to be personally defined. It has to be yours. Because just keeping up with the Joneses and earning more money and climbing your way to the top of a ladder tends to be externally based. And things that are externally based means I don't have the power. I'm reliant on everyone else or all of those other things for my sense of security and certainty and peace within myself. I would put to you that a definition of success that you have internalized, that is yours, that is based on how you feel, despite what others may think, despite what others may have to say, apart from, on some level, to some amount, the people who matter most to you. When you can internalize that, it becomes so much more powerful, it becomes so much more meaningful, and you are far more likely to do what it takes to get there because it has personal meaning to you. It has purpose. That is motivation in a nutshell. Your motivations are actually grounded in personal meaning that you are in charge of. Not, if I do this, those people will then reward me. That's out of your hands. Those things get to be nice byproducts. What we might now call financial success can be a part of that. You get to earn all the fucking money in the world if you want. But what is it about? Why? What does it provide for you? If it's just so you can have a bigger house, so then you look more successful, I put it to you that that's flimsy. You'll never truly be satisfied because there's always someone who's got a bigger fucking house. That's a fruitless game. You get to look at it and go, why do I want that house? Because I want to have that house on the hill because I love a view. And I want to have all those rooms in that space because I love connection and bringing my friends and loved ones around to create experiences and connect and entertain. I want everyone to come to my house and feel happy and safe so they can explore and connect and have great experiences. Now we're getting somewhere. Now that big fucker on the house on the hill has meaning to you. It is yours. And intrinsic motivation enters the equation. The juice now is worth the squeeze. And so in that, back to all of this, specifically a lot of it, to the idea of providing. All of the work, all of the effort, everything that you do and pour your energy into, brother, what is it for? Because if the answer is to provide for my family, then I suggest you haven't gone anywhere near deep enough in answering that question. Why do you want to provide for your family? What does that look like? What does it mean? Why? Ask better questions. If you're still following an old model of who you need to be and what you need to become and create for your life and on what success is for you, I suggest that you might feel like you're stuck in a little bit of a rut and there's more available to you. Well, guess what? There is so much more available to you. So much more available to you. This is primarily the work that we do in my coaching program, the Everyday Legends Academy. It's where we start in my mini courses, the Better Partner Project and Next Level Confidence Code. But ultimately, in 6 months of the Everyday Legends Academy, we explore this in such depth. We both figure out why you haven't been able to Get clear on that. And what's been holding you back from even thinking about it, let alone going for it? And then what is it that you truly want? Who do you want to be? What is an everyday legend to you? What's your definition of that? Well, let's fucking create that with clarity that is anchored in purpose and meaning. And it's a joy to see men step into that. But that is about pure ownership, taking full responsibility for what you want your life to be, what that looks like, how you define it, and then creating it. But I'll remind you, you get to be supported in that. Hopefully you've got some questions to go away and reflect on and think about and actually like get some shit down on paper on. If you have questions that come out of this, then good, because you've been paying attention. Questions are good. Questions mean curiosity, and we can explore them and we can find more answers and we can get somewhere. But also feel free to reach out and ask me. You know how to do that. Social media is a good one. Hit my email, support@mikecampbell.com.au. If you want to learn more about any of my courses or my major coaching program, then reach out to me. Let me know. We'll have intakes happening in the new year, 2021, depending on when you're listening to this. There is so much available to us. We are limited by the limitations we have taken on board that have been given to us and that we choose to perpetuate. And if one of your limitations is what success is for you and gets to be, then I invite you to reflect on that and potentially dismantle it and create a definition that has meaning for you, despite whatever the fuck else other people think of it. With that, that's our show. Thanks for listening. See you next time. If you want to find out more about my coaching programs, get access to my mini courses, then you can either hit my website, mikecampbell.com.au, but I strongly suggest reach out to me and we can potentially exchange conversation over email, or there's the opportunity to get on a punchy strategy call with me and really figure out what's going on for you, where you're at in your life, and therefore, if any of these solutions can actually support you. If they can, then we can look at, cool, well, what one fits and how does it work? There is opportunities aplenty. You have my permission, you have my invitation to reach out and ask. And together we can make 2021 the year where shit gets real. You've been listening to the Everyday Legends podcast, the show dedicated to helping everyday men build legendary relationships with yourself, with your partners, and in your world. If you have got something from this podcast, please share it with someone that you think could benefit from it. And please visit your home for podcasts. Like us, subscribe to us, leave us a review. Your feedback is phenomenal in getting this in front of more eyes and ears. Until next time, I'm Mike Campbell, and remember to build that legendary integrity.